Welcome to this introduction on how to create terrain in Landshape. There are two ways to create terrain in Landshape. There is Plot, which is an interactive tool, and there is Form, which creates terrain around some form of existing input. So we're going to start with Plot, and it works very much like the rectangle tool. So for example, if you press Ctrl, you extend it around the center and so on. We can type in a size in the VCB, so 128 by 128 meters, and then a resolution, like 1 meter. You can press enter, and this is now a terrain. We can use our tools on it like this. There is one interesting additional feature in Plot. So if we again type 128 by 128 and then 1 meter resolution, and then we can read the status text or the first line support row. It says Alt equals Quake. So if we press Alt, and that is Command on Mac, press and hold Alt and then press enter, we create a random terrain. And in this state, we can press enter again to generate a new random terrain. And this is to get something going. So now you can add some water, for example, on the skirt and so on. And you have a small world to explore. Okay, so but if we have an existing input, like ISOs, we can create terrain around these as well. And if we have a big terrain, we need to be aware of the resolution. So if we have something big, we should probably not have 1 meter resolution. So now the resolution is 4 meters. So we can select this, and then we can press form. And now we have formed a terrain with these ISOs as input. And you can see we have some artifacts at the borders here because the way the ISO curves are constructed. So in addition to the ISO curves, we can also have a filter. And if we start the form command without anything selected, we enter a select mode or a pick mode. So we have the parameters of the operation here, and we have the selection here. So if we press this, we have a container which is bounded by its own bounding box. And if we press here, we can see that we now have the container bounded by an external box. So we can press enter. And if we look above, we can see that the terrain is formed within the filter. And after we have committed, the VCB opens up. So if we want to change the resolution to, let's say, 3 meters, we can press 3 and then press enter. And we recompute the terrain, or for that matter, 2 meter resolution. And now we have a terrain from the ISO. And we can also create a terrain around points. So if we select this and form a terrain, we get this. Or we can also form a terrain around an existing surface. So we can press form. Now we have a terrain here. And another thing is that if we have some sort of terrain, let's say we have a flat terrain, and we have these ISO curves, for example, and now we want to impose these ISO curves on the terrain, then we can select the input and use conform or fit. So we conform the terrain snugly to the selection. So we can see that the terrain now has the form of the input. And we can also use a filter here, and we can use actually a polygon as filter. So for example, this circle. is a valid. So we can select the ISO. It says lines bounded by the bounding box. But if we select this also, it now says lines bounded by bounds, and bounds means a polygon. So if we press enter, we can see that we fitted the terrain to the input within the filter. Yeah, so if we remove the ice. And this, of course, also works for points and surfaces. So that's how you create terrain in Landshape.